Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unlocking something pretty incredible, the architecture of intrapreneurship. This is basically the framework for building a massive, game-changing business directly from within your current company. So, if you've ever had that itch to build something totally new, but you felt anchored to your current role, well, you are in exactly the right place. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the core idea, compare the traditional entrepreneur to the intrapreneur, walk through the exact 5-step innovators process, and finally, unpack the specific culture you need to actually make it work. I want you to imagine a scenario for a second. You've got a truly brilliant business idea. You just know it could change the market, but you're hesitating. You're pausing because you simply cannot afford to quit your job, lose that steady salary, and risk your entire life savings to get it off the ground. And honestly, that fear of immense personal financial risk stops countless amazing ideas right in their tracks. Let's jump right into Section 1, the core idea, and what it means to innovate from the inside. This is where intrapreneurship comes in. Often referred to as corporate intrapreneurship, it's all about fostering that raw startup energy right inside an existing, typically larger organization. You get to act exactly like an entrepreneur. You get to innovate, take strategic risks, and develop entirely new products or business models. But here is the ultimate hybrid advantage. You do all of it while utilizing your employer's backing. It's the best of both worlds. You literally never have to leave your current company because the organization itself steps up to provide the capital, the infrastructure, and the legal safety net you need to execute your vision.
Moving on to Section 2, entrepreneur versus intrapreneur. Who's actually bearing the risk here?
Let's break down the real trade-offs between the traditional startup world and the corporate innovation lab. Take risk, for example. The traditional entrepreneur is staring down potential personal financial ruin, right? But the intrapreneur, their risk is entirely absorbed by the organization. Now, regarding resources, founders are usually bootstrapping or practically begging for seed funding, while the intrapreneur just taps right into company provisions. The big trade-off, though, is autonomy. The entrepreneur has total control, the whole shebang. The intrapreneur, on the other hand, naturally has to align with the broader corporate strategy. But look at the speed advantage. By plugging into existing infrastructure, an intrapreneur can move incredibly fast compared to a cash-strapped startup. And finally, the reward shifts. While the solo founder aims for high equity and full ownership, the intrapreneur earns substantial corporate bonuses, promotions, and seriously accelerated career growth. It's just a fascinating trade-off. You're swapping absolute control for unparalleled support.
All right, Section 3, the 5-step process. Let's look at the innovator's path.
Navigating from a raw thought in your head to a real, functioning business requires a structured, 5-stage roadmap. Let's build a quick micro-narrative here. We'll follow a hypothetical idea as it travels step by step through the corporate maze. Say, for instance, you've noticed a massive inefficiency in how your company handles its logistics software, and you know exactly how to build a tool to fix it. That journey always kicks off organically in Step 1, the ideation phase. Now, this isn't about sitting in a conference room trying to invent something out of thin air. Instead, it comes from finding a spark down in the trenches. It stems directly from your deep, first-hand knowledge of the company's daily pain points. Because you are in there every single day, you are uniquely positioned to spot new opportunities, flag glaring process improvements, like that logistics bug, or even see an entirely untapped market segment that executive management might be totally blind to. Honestly, that inside knowledge is your unfair advantage.
But, a spark just isn't enough to start a fire. In Step 2, championing and approval, you've got to sell your vision. You have to stand in front of the boss or upper management and deliver an absolutely airtight business case that proves the potential return on investment for your new tool. And here's the absolute kicker for corporate survival. You must secure a corporate sponsor. Think of them as a high-ranking mentor who will politically champion your idea. They provide the crucial air cover needed to protect your project from the typical corporate antibodies that always try to kill off new initiatives.
Okay, so you get the green light and the political backing. Fantastic. Now you move to Step 3, resourcing and team building. The company hands over your allocated budget, your workspace, and your team. You have officially entered what is famously called the skunkworks phase. This is absolutely vital. You're granted a protective bubble here. You get to operate with a real degree of autonomy, completely detached from the slow-moving bureaucratic constraints of the main company. You are essentially running a lean, fast startup safely nested right inside a corporate fortress.
Which brings us to Step 4, development and prototyping.
And wow, this is where your massive advantage over standard startups truly shines. Yes, you're building a minimum viable product, an MVP, just like any other entrepreneur, but you're not doing it alone in a freezing garage. You're doing it while leveraging your parent company's massive pre-existing supply chain. You get to utilize their established brand reputation to open doors instantly. Plus, you can test your new logistics software against a giant already existing customer database. That drastically reduces friction, which means your speed to market can be remarkably faster. Finally, we hit step 5. Let's say your pilot is a smashing success. Awesome! You now reach a strategic crossroads, and your innovation will follow one of two paths. Option 1 is integration. This means your successful product or service is folded directly back into the company's mainstream operations, becoming a core, permanent part of what the business actually does. Option 2 is independence. In this scenario, the project is spun off entirely. It becomes a completely separate subsidiary or an independent business entity, still under the parent company's broader umbrella, but totally operating on its own.
Now for our final section, Section 4, Building the Right Culture and the Mindset for Success.
Listen, it's an incredible 5-step process, but absolutely none of it matters if the corporate soil is toxic. For entrepreneurship to actually thrive, the foundational mindset of the company has to fundamentally shift. Organizations literally must embrace failure as a learning tool. Think about it. If an organization actively punishes its employees for projects that do not succeed, it instantly kills the exact internal drive you need for innovation. No one, and I mean no one, is going to stick their neck out to try this 5-step process if they think a failed MVP will cost them their career. The culture has to genuinely celebrate the attempt, and more importantly, learn from the data.
And that brings us to the end of today's explainer. I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought to chew on. Take a hard look at your own situation right now. Do you have the internal drive and that brilliant idea to start championing your vision tomorrow? But maybe the bigger question is, look at the culture around you. Is your company actually brave enough to let you try? Or is there intense fear of failure holding you back? Really think about how you can start fostering that environment today. Keep learning, keep pushing those boundaries, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.